This is FTG Podcast, sponsored by Vedic Meditation with Matt Cardone. Vedic meditation is a ancient technique that works with a mantra. I've been practicing this meditation for the last 3 years. Mantra literally translates into mind vehicle, right? Man is mind, tra is vehicle. So this mantra is a poetic sound, which is a bija mantra. It's void of meaning. And the purpose of it is to take the mind from grosser states of thought down to the subtlest form of thought, leave the mind, eventually where there's no thought and no mantra, which is then to soak in what we would call cosmic consciousness, the kingdom of heaven, or whatever you would like to call it. This practice has easily been the most transformative thing in my life the last 3 years. If you're interested in it, you can hit me up, ask about it. You can go to mattcardonemeditation.com and request a phone call with him. Highly recommend it. Again, thank you, Matt Cardone, for sponsoring this podcast. I'm grateful to be a part of something that has radically changed my life.
What's the eternal principle?
Brahman.
Which is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it.
Episode 108, FTG Podcast, What's Really Good. If you're listening via just audio on your phone or whatever the case may be, if you don't already know, we have YouTube up and rolling. All you got to do is search From the Grave Podcast. It'll pop right up. And then while you're there, go ahead and as they say, smash the subscribe button and give us a follow. We'd really appreciate it. And the reason why we're able to have YouTube up and running is because of the two men right here, Nice Productions, Andrew and Paul, and they're going to be rocking with us in the show. Guys, say what up.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
So actually, funny story, the genesis of all this. Andrew used to have a podcast 4 or 5 years ago. I started FTG in 2018, and you invited me on because of that. So it had to have been like 2018. Yeah. Because I had it up and running for like maybe a year. So at any rate, it was called The Everyday Hustle Show with Jesse and Christian. Shout out to them both. Mike Fitz, RIP, was friends with Christian. And they were talking FTG. This is when it was just From the Grave Clothing. I was just making gear. So they invited me on. We had a dope time. It was kind of intimidating because there was like 3 fucking hosts and then me and Mike. But anyways, it was a great time. And I had hit Andrew up afterwards. I'm like, dude, that was awesome. Like, I got to let people into FTG and what it's all about. And he just, held it down, laid out everything, all the equipment, walked me through it. He deals with all my dumbass questions all the time, still to this day. And then probably all the way until 2.5 years ago, I get a job. He's working at that center. And then so we reconnected. And he's got a job at this treatment center doing media production. So we linked up and launched YouTube this year, and this is what we got. We're rocking.
I still have my first 2 original T-shirts you gave me, the Builder of Thoughts and the Forge the Weapon one. 2 most favorite shirts, and they're broken in. They're worn in. They're comfortable. Can't get rid of them,
Yeah, and they haven't faded, right? Just say no.
Debatable.
Dude, wash on low cycle. Wash on a low cycle. You know what I mean?
Hang dry.
Hang dry. Have some respect for the threads, But yeah, I had bought like 100 of those each, man. That was when I was selling T-shirts out of the back of the hatchback, We've come a long way. So anyways, this is episode 108. 108. What are we talking about? Okay, so I think this is fitting. Actually, I was supposed to have a guest on, and scheduling got a little jammed up, so we had to reschedule. And I was asking my buddy Brett, I'm like, dude, what the fuck should I talk about? All this stuff. And he was like, well, why don't you talk about why you have Lane Staley on the wall behind you? Because a ton of people have no idea who that face is. And people really just think it's Logan Paul. And so, you know, why don't you talk about that, the impact he had on you, why he's hanging up here. And so I think that's what we're going to do. And it's also fitting because it's his RIP date. He died April 5th. I think it was like 2005. When did Kurt Cobain die? Was it 2005? 94. Really? Oh, I'm an idiot. We got to cut that out, bro. I knew I was close with the 4 or 5. Anyways, they died the same year, I believe. I think they died the same year. Kurt Cobain gets all the love. Lane Staley doesn't get much. So, anyways, Lane Staley was the lead singer of Alice in Chains, which is commonly mistaken for a grunge band, which it kind of is. They were basically viewed grunge after they did MTV Live Unplugged, but they're basically a metal band. So at any rate, Lane Staley died from a speedball overdose. He was a hell of a heroin addict, and he passed away as a result of that. I remember actually the first time I had heard Rooster and Man in the Box, but I never really knew who they were. And I was driving in my buddy Will's car, and he was playing the live MTV Unplugged, and he was playing Sludge Factory, and he was singing the song, and whatever, he was quoting one of the lyrics, and I remember just my wig be blowing back, and this guy was telling me what I was going through. Lane Staley really put words to what I was going through before I even knew what the fuck I was going through. So I dove right in, and a lot of my experience with Alice in Chains and bands like that in the beginning was, driving on 81 South in New York, crying because I fucking hated my life and myself so much, wanting to crash my car into a goddamn tree. So it wasn't really positive music, but I guess in those times you really just start to identify with whatever's going on inside of you. And when someone starts speaking your language or talking about the scars you have, there was just something that clicked on the inside of me, and I had this really passionate response to it. And I still do, even though the guy is really, even in the Alice in Chains Live Unplugged, he's super morbid, he's super skinny, and he passed away shortly after that. Here's a dude, he went to multiple different treatment centers in an attempt to stay sober, and he just couldn't do it, man. Heroin won yet again, So one of the best songs that I love off that album is Sludge Factory. And one of the lines he has is, once again you see discolored skin gives you away, so afraid you kindly gurgle out a day. So he's always talking about this discolored skin, right? He's like, this discolored skin gives you away, gives you away, gives you away. And then he becomes so afraid that he kindly gurgles out a date. The way I viewed it was a sobriety date. So here was this man going through, in a very real sense, what I was going through, and I could watch it, and I could see it, and I could touch it, and I could feel it. And I had no idea of any type of solution in my life. He, I think it's in Down in a Hole, he says, "You don't understand the man they thought I was supposed to be. Look at me now, I'm a man who won't let himself be." So there was just this constant torture and morbidness in his voice and how he presented himself and his lyrics. And his guitarist, Jerry Cantrell, helped write a lot of the lyrics, but in my eyes, regardless of where the lyrics came from, they did something to me, right? And he also has this song called "The Killer Is Me," which he says, "I don't need a gun pointed at me, no need to run, the killer is me." So anyways, I could go through all these fucking quotes. He used this one song, Frogs. He just belted out probably the whole song of why does it have to be this way. He, at the end of the song, he says, next week I'll be 28. It's gonna beat me. So he was a guy that just was like foreshadowing his death. He knew it was coming for him, and he just couldn't get out, And they actually found him in his apartment. It was probably like they estimated 8 days after he died from an overdose, and his body was just rotting away. So there's really nothing pretty about this story. There's really nothing pretty about the story. But whatever, you go through some shit, and a darkest point in your life, and you meet someone or hear something, and music has a way of just moving you in a certain way. And when you hear words that start to identify what you're going through, it just really I don't know, man. And like when I got sober, it got even more impactful to me because I started to I was able to see a guy who was struggling and didn't see a way out, And the beautiful part about it was I had been given a way out. So in him and watching his live performances and listening to his music, I was able to see a past version of myself and just have this kind of like holy shit moment of how the fuck did I get out of here, right? And I really like that approach as far as like sobriety is concerned, or you've overcome something. I really never want to be like, oh, I fucking did all this work and I did this and, got sober and the 12 steps and I work on myself. I mean, I do, right? But I don't know. But I guess it's like an out too, just to be like, it's all because of grace, which, it is. I remember I was sitting with my therapist a while back, and I forget how this came up, but I was like, man, if it wasn't for grace. And he was like, I don't know. He goes, don't you have a part in it all? And I've always been taught to like step back and be like, it's got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with me. It's all God, right? Like God intervened on my behalf. And he put this responsibility on me, which I was very scared to take, which was, he said, Scott, you got sober because you had enough pain and you were willing to put in the work to change your life for the better. And that is the essence of God. So what I had always wanted was to be a man who took care of his own fucking life, was to be a man that got out of bed and did something about his goddamn life, whether he wanted to or not. That was all I ever fucking wanted. But, I was like almost waiting for God to come sweep down from the heavens and clear out my path for me. And it's almost like he's like, what the fuck are you waiting for? I've given you everything you've ever wanted, and you're sitting here waiting for me to sweep down from the heavens and save you. And it just don't fucking work like that, homie. You got to get out of bed and go make some mistakes and do some shit that's going to make you really uncomfortable. And for me, discomfort was leaving my door. For me, discomfort was walking out of my door in the morning. Everything on the other side of that door scared the hell out of me, So for me, the Spirit of God and my conception of God has changed, and it continues to change a lot, is always been God begging me to take responsibility for my life and almost like imploring me to have a relationship with him by moving. And this is going to sound different, but like almost not even, he's like, okay, you want to pray? Pray. Then go out into the world and walk it out. Like, praise God through action. You're grateful? Go fucking be grateful. You're happy? Go be happy. You want a beautiful life? Then live beautifully. Stop waiting for beauty to come to you, and then just go live beautifully. And like, we got to take stock honestly of ourselves and maybe sit down and write, what does it look like for me to live beautifully? What does the highest version of myself look like? And am I moving in that direction? Is what I'm thinking, saying, and doing supporting this ultimate goal of me transcending myself? I know that word sounds a little whimsical, but transcending simply means to go where you are not. And that's all I ever wanted. I want to continue to go where I'm not. I don't even know how the fuck I got here. I remember calling one of my mentors the other day. And I was like, man, I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, I'm at home. Like, I haven't even been able to watch TV. Like, I just kind of stumble around when I got free time, and I really don't even know I'm just kind of like, everything is fucking great, right? Everything is great. But I just kind of feel like I love my life. I love where I'm at. But I also have this weird feeling of like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, am I on the right path? Am I seeking enough? Am I moving in the right direction, etc.? And I was like, oh, it's like this existential crisis, right? Where you're just kind of like, is this all that there is? Not shunning what is right now, but kind of just taking stock of like, I don't really know what the fuck's going on. And this isn't okay with me right now. And I was like, so whatever. I was like, I think I'm going through an existential crisis. And he's like, you're going through an existential expansion and contraction, right? Like, consciousness is finding a new place for it to fit. Consciousness is finding a new place for it to fit. And in order for it to find a new place for it to fit, it's got to get really uncomfortable, I suppose. And if I've learned anything, it's been that when you feel confused, you're right where you're supposed to be. Because I want the answers, but then I also know that like reaching for those answers causes me suffering, rather than just feeling the feeling, being with the feeling, and not paying attention to the thoughts surrounding the feelings. And that's honestly where I've been at a lot lately, is rather than trying to get away from feelings, or oh no, I'm sad, or oh no, I'm anxious, or I feel weird right now, or I don't want to do this podcast, or I don't want to do this, and that I don't want a voice. It's like you kind of step back, and this came from David Hawkins' Letting Go, and he talks about feeling the feelings, letting them be there, not wishing it was different, accepting that they're there, not resisting them, and also not clinging to them, and paying no attention to the thoughts surrounding them. And I'll fucking tell you what, that's hard as hell to do. I'll tell you what, man, that is hard as hell to do, because if you're anything like me, my whole life, my feelings have been scary as hell. I mean, I ran from my feelings, and I didn't realize I was doing that. I always thought like I was a kind of intuitive guy till I went to therapy, and they say that, oh, how does that make you feel? And you're like, you get super annoyed, but I didn't really have a fucking answer. I didn't know. So it was like, oh, I'm intuitive, this and that, but you ask me how something makes me feel, and I don't really fucking know, right? And, I just, it was my birthday, April 4th, and thank you to everyone that reached out and showed a ton of love, and it was really beautiful. It was a simple day. And everyone that reached out, and even if it was just like a post on Instagram and gave me all that love, showed me all that love, it was fucking fantastic. What are you giggling about, bro?
No, yeah. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
And then so when you were talking, I hit the switch button.
Yeah, it went to you?
Yeah, it went to us.
You needed some time.
Little golden nuggets.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You need the production.
Sorry to interrupt though.
No.
Does the on and off, quick question too, does the on and off switch work on this?
I think so.
Check.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so it does work. Okay, I wanted to make sure I was switching it off, like, so we didn't hear like clanking around and shit.
I love that, dude. I love that for you, and I love that you don't want clanking. So anyways, I don't think, hey, Paul, feel the feelings and pay no attention to the thoughts surrounding them, because you're going through something right now. You let it be there. It's awkward. It's weird. Just be in it,
I'm just here.
Yeah, you're just here. So at any rate, the birthday, right? And how do I not get specific with this? So basically, recently I went through something. It wasn't even a big fucking deal. It wasn't even a big deal, right? It was like I realized that I preferred something I wanted something to happen. I thought it was going to happen, and it got challenged. And I was surprised because I really thought it was going to go the way that my mind was telling me it was going to go. And I was like, oh, isn't this fucking interesting? Like, this really jammed me up a little bit. And I was like, oh, well, isn't that interesting? Like, I wanted something to go my way, or the way that I just thought it was going to go. It didn't go my way. And now now my body or my mind say, hey, you're unhappy now. And I was like, but what if it didn't matter? What if it didn't matter that it didn't go my way? And it was like, well, then I would be free, and then I would no longer be happy. So it was just like this internal rhythm, and it was something really simple. It wasn't anything grave or anything crazy happened. It was just like a preferencing moment in my life that I really thought was going to take place. It started to show a different shade, and I was surprised. I was taken back. And, it still is kind of like creeping up. So I'm like constantly even remembering, like, letting go of that. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
All right, I know we're not supposed to be necessarily interviewing you, but
No,
I
want that.
You said if it didn't matter, that might make it so you're not happy. It would maybe make the situation more peaceful, but it would make it so you're not happy. Do you find yourself seeking a balance between things not mattering and preferring things to be the way they are, or the way they're supposed to be in your mind, like having a preference versus being completely detached and peaceful about it? Is there a balance you're seeking, or is one better than the other in your experience and you're seeking one of those?
No, that's a good question. I think that it's not being detached. It's more so like just paying attention to what my mind says that it prefers and what it doesn't prefer. Because if I were to wake up and script out a day based on my preferences, it never fucking happens that way. Like, there's never been a day in my life where I was like, I would like this to happen, and it fit perfectly in that. So it's kind of like in this situation, the world is busy being the world. Life is going to be life, whether I wish this happened or wish this didn't happen. Even addiction, right? All the pain I caused myself and others, like that, life has happened and it's still going on. So it's like, if something happens, who am I to say that it shouldn't have happened? Who am I to say that it shouldn't have happened? Because if it shouldn't have happened, I'm unhappy, or I don't have peace. Not that having peace is number one fucking object, right? Because then we can move through the world in a peaceful way. We give peace to others, peace to our life. But it's like, hey, if this shouldn't have happened, that's not okay with me, says I, the center of the universe type thing. And if it should happen, life's the way it's supposed to be, and I'm pleased with it. Keep going, life. You did good. Right? So it's like, not even like, I don't want to be detached. It's just like, there's this quote out of The Untethered Soul, and he says, the more you give the world permission to just be the world, the more it will let you be the greatest version of yourself. So it's like, if I can move forward in that situation, I was like, isn't this interesting? It's not turning out the way I thought it was going to turn out. Fuck. But I had no involvement in that. It just wasn't turning out the way I wanted it to turn out. So I got two choices in that moment. I can either continue on saying, I can't believe this didn't fucking happen, and be pissed off and be disturbed. Or, isn't that interesting that didn't happen? I wonder what it is within me that really wanted this to happen, you know? So I guess it's just like a perspective thing, right? Like, for instance, let's say Andrew's a complete dickhead, right? And we work together, and let's say I have to see him every day. We have to work hand in hand, which we don't. Let's say I go into work Monday. Andrew's a complete dickhead. He's a dickhead all the time. But Monday, I'm like, oh, just Andrew. Hey, everyone's happy. Here's some coffee. Let's have a good day. Andrew's just a dickhead. But then Tuesday, I come in. Andrew's the same dickhead as he was on Monday. But now I'm like, you know what? Fuck this guy, bro. I'm sick of his shit. Fuck this guy. He's not getting a coffee, and I'm spun up. The only thing that changed in that situation was Monday I was okay with Andrew being Andrew, and Tuesday I was no longer okay with him being Andrew. So the only thing that got its reins in me was the preferencing mind. I prefer Andrew to be different, equals suffering. Oh, Andrew's just being Andrew. What's next? Equals okayness. So it's just very interesting shit. You know, it's like, so I don't know. I'm just starting to fucking pay attention to this goddamn inner world, you know, and it's like blowing my mind. And some days it's like real pretty and interesting. And then other days it's like I'm getting smacked upside the head by it, you know? And I know that's part of the process, but it's interestingly frustrating, but also like fun in the way of it type thing. So it's like the world is just busy being the world. There's most of the things in life we have no control over. And life isn't gathering in a room talking like, how can we fucking ruin Scott's day today? But a lot of the times we'll walk around like that. I can't believe this fucking happened. Why can't you? Would it be okay if it just did happen? So it's like all responding to a situation differently. It's like, for instance, right? Okay, like letting go. It doesn't mean that I have to like the situation that's taking place. Let's say we're trying to be some spiritual Eckhart Tolle or whatever the fuck, right? You're driving on 95, it's pouring rain, and you get a flat tire, right? And you pull over, your gas tank's on E, you don't got a donut in the spare, you just bought this car, all your finances are getting threatened, you're pissed off, you're going to be late to where you're supposed to be, all this shit, right? You got two choices. You can be pissed off about having to call AAA if you got it, paying $200 or whatever, or be like, yeah, isn't this interesting? I got to fucking change the tire in the pouring rain. And again, that's super pretty and cute to talk about, and I'm not saying it's easy. But the fact of the matter is that's your current reality. So you can either be pissed off that reality is reality, or say, isn't this interesting that this is reality right now? And you're going to have good days with that and bad days with that. I had just bought, and I went up to Daytona with Temperance Training. This was probably, no, it wasn't even over a year ago, because it was almost a year ago, and I just bought my brand new GTI. Well, it's not brand new. It's a 21. So I took this road trip up to Daytona, and we were staying at this hotel right on the fucking right on A1A, gorgeous spot, and there was only like a few parking spots, so we had to go to the lobby, get a parking pass, all this stuff. So me and the girls had to go get some groceries at Publix. So I took the thing off my dash because I hate driving with some neon piece of paper on my dash. It's reflecting, it's annoying. So I put it in my door panel or whatever, and I forgot to put it back up there. My fucking car got towed in the middle of the night. I woke up. We were all going to the gym, do this temperance training thing. We were like getting everything ready. It was like the showdown, right? I get up. I'm on my way there. I walk out in the parking lot. I'm like, where the fuck is my car? I was so I'm like, tell me this fucking thing got towed, because it was a Saturday night, so they probably hire some tow truck driver to go in and out of parking lots. He didn't see it I forgot to put it back in my dash, even though I was registered with the lobby. He didn't pay attention to ask the lobby about it, and he's like, sweet, come up, you know. And here's me thinking for him. Like, this guy's like, I'm going to fuck this guy, I'm going to get this car. And it was so... I had to call. There was no note left. I had to call local tow truck places, ask them if they had it. They had it at some bunk junkyard, like all this brand new car. So all this shit, I'm like, my car, all this stuff. And the guy's like, yeah, it's over here. It's going to be $250 cash. So like, what am I going to do? And I handled that situation way better. I was just like, oh, my fucking car got towed. But I was freaking out for a second, called. He's like, yeah, it's around the corner. It's 15 minutes away. I'm like, okay, I took a $200 hit. It is what it is. Go get the car. And the day was just fine. That was just my reality. It was the chaos of life. It was just a weird little day showing up. But also, people get way too fucking spiritual, and they go, what does this mean? Well, a star fell from the sky, and I must have a burning resentment within me that I need to figure out, and I need to go home and pray harder because this should not be happening to me. And it's like, says fucking who, dude? Your car just got towed. Who gives a shit, Who gives a shit? The car got towed, flipped a couple C notes the guy's way, go pick up your car and move on with your fucking day. But I don't live in that world that God thinks I have to learn a lesson, or life thinks I have to learn a lesson so my car gets towed. It's like, so now what? Like, the universe is out to fucking get me, or just playing with me like it's a master puppeteer almost? I don't know. I don't really get down with that. But I don't know. That was a long fucking tangent to your question. Yeah.
I think you answered it pretty great. So
why don't you tell us about those violet, pink, what are those called again? Crocs. That's a fucking statement right there, man.
well, it's weird that you were just talking about spirituality, because this is actually like an exercise in
Is it?
spirituality. Yeah. So I am not saying this for sympathy's sake. I would consider myself a pretty ugly person. Like, physically speaking, like,
I think you're fucking
I don't,
handsome.
Oh, thanks. I don't like the look of my face. I just don't. And so my instinct is to like make up for that by like dressing a certain way, which since I've moved down to Florida, I have not dressed like that. Now my whole ethos is based around like dress humbly, or in a way that's like noteworthy, not because it accentuates your good qualities, but just because it's just interesting, or like, you know, something you find cool, and don't worry about projecting a certain image out to the world. So I've been wearing a lot of like way bigger t-shirts. Like, since I moved to Florida, I've only worn like large or XL t-shirts. I don't wear anything form-fitting, especially at the gym. I don't wear any tank tops or anything like that. I just wear like sweatpants, Crocs, and a big t-shirt. And then that way, like, my progress that I make with like my body in the gym or whatever is my own progress. I don't have to show others that. I don't have, but, you know, even if I am proud of it, don't show other people. So it's like an exercise in like, be humble. Don't, you know, wear the simplest thing that accomplishes your aims. This is the simplest thing I can find that accomplishes like the breathability of a shoe I would want.
Yeah.
And it like, if you can draw attention to yourself in terms of like, oh, it's a silly color because it's a guy wearing pink, but like, it's just all about like, look as unremarkable as possible to try and draw people towards your sense of humor or your personality or whatever you do want to work on the hardest, and don't draw people towards like, oh, he's got a nice watch or a nice belt, or, you know, it's just kind of like, it is an intense exercise, and like, don't look at me unless we're both going to make jokes about the thing we're looking at.
Right.
So, you know.
Did you make a decision to do this yourself, or were you like kind of directed to do this?
I kind of came up with this myself because like a big part of my being in Florida is being in recovery, and a big part of my recovery is like rediscovering my Buddhist practice. And a big part of my Buddhist practice is like, don't desire attention from others for things that are worldly, essentially. Like, desire leads to suffering. If you desire the attention of others for things that are, like, for example, like everything I do for my business, like I run a photography and film business, much like Andrew here. Everything I do for my business is anonymous. I've grown my business so much more by being anonymous than I ever did when I attached my face to it or like tried to tell my personal story through it. So like, it's all about like, just detach from yourself. Don't desire certain types of attention from the world that will breed vanity or ego, and then go on from there, essentially. I know that sounds really lofty. It sounds like I'm the most intentional person in the world, but I swear to God, that's the intention.
No, that's not lofty at all. I mean, and like you said, have no desires or no attachments. And going back to like the moment thing, it's like, I desire this moment to be this way. And then if it's not that way, I'm attached to suffering. Have you ever read the book Living Buddha, Living Christ by Thich Nhat Hanh, or you know that guy?
Thich Nhat Hanh?
Yeah.
Love him, dude. I have not read that book though.
I think I have it. I'll let you borrow it. It's fucking
Heck yeah.
It's fucking incredible. But dude, I love that. It's so you're literally, Joseph Campbell says, wherever you stumble, you go right there. So it's like that's like the little details of myself that I've gotten involved with that have changed my fucking life. That's you getting involved with this thing that the universe made and saying, why am I fucking I don't view myself this way, and now I'm going to compensate for that. And like I'm walking around just attached to this fucking display of an image and ego and you're like, wait a second, I'm not fucking happy doing that. So like this kid I used to work with, he was really into like, you know, money, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all that shit. And I was like, and he was like asking me to like whatever mentor him and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well the first thing I'm going to have you do is you're only allowed to shop at TJ Maxx. Couldn't do it. Could not do it, bro. He couldn't do it. And like, I get it. I get that he couldn't do it, but I'm like, he wanted learn all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, but I know that like a big answer for you is going to be wearing a $30 Ralph Lauren polo from TJ Maxx, which is still a dope shirt. You can look really good at TJ Maxx, but you're not allowed to wear $100 t-shirts and $1,000 loafers anymore, you know? And he couldn't do it, you know? And I get that. So it's like we go right where we struggle. And my thing lately has been learning how to like let go of these feelings and these moments and anxieties and the way I wish it would be. Like my work schedule just got changed and I'm running around and like doing groups all the time. And I really fell in love with my schedule. But I'm like, and it got changed and I was like, and my immediate response is like, what the fuck? Like, just like, dude, what the fuck, bro? You know what I mean? Just like, and I'm like, who am I to say that this is bad? How can I decide that this is going to be bad? Like, who the fuck am I to decide that it's going to be bad? So it's like life has changed. Okay, a change came before me. I can either be pissed off on these days that my schedule changed or just be like, okay, it changed. Here we are. So it's like these little fucking moments that I never fucking paid attention to, but those build up like the experience of my life, you know? So fucking kudos to you, and I fuck with the Crocs. Are they as comfortable as everyone says they are?
Yeah, the big thing for me is like just breathability, because I'm trying to keep my skin in good shape with all the humidity down here, but then also like the shoes that like human beings are meant to wear, if we are meant to wear shoes at all, are meant to have like a wide toe box, you know?
Yeah.
And Crocs have a naturally wide toe box, like, and they're more fitted at the heel where the strap is. So it's like, it's just so comfortable because I can like spread out my toes and like stretch them when I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Whereas like normal shoes, you usually can't do that, even if they are fitted to your feet. So they are very, very comfortable.
Big toe stretch guy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Big toe stretch guy.
Yeah. And you know, you can do sissy squats in the gym with these and not.
I don't think I've ever tried that.
Oh my God, it hurts, but it's worth it.
What? I don't know if I can do that. Let's try it after. Get a video. We'll get a video.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think I can do it though.
100%.
You know what a sissy squat is? Yeah, I don't even know if it's hard to. It's probably too hard to explain.
It's basically a squat on the tip of your toes or the balls of your feet only. You're not driving with your heels like you would in a normal squat, right?
I think Drew could do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll try it after. Anyways, what the fuck was I gonna say to that? Fuck. Oh, toe box. Okay, shoes. So I recently. So this is actually a trip. So I fucking. I gotta stop cussing so much, dude. Like the fucking shouldn't be a filler word. You know what I mean? I gotta work on that. You're probably good with that because you got kids. You don't really cuss much.
To be honest, I don't find it like attractive.
Well, yeah, I'm not trying to do it to be attractive.
No. Yeah, I feel like when I curse, it makes me like look worse.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, I've been noticing. I've been thinking that too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really like how that. Like, there's no need for it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So sissy squats and less swearing. Got it.
Got it. No F-bombs.
No, I recently got orthopedics, right? So my bone, so listen, I've broken both of my feet and my left ankle from skateboarding, right? I used to fucking shred, dude. I've actually broken 7 bones. So broke both of my feet, my left ankle, you know, fucking doing whatever, stairs and stuff like that. And over time and doing all CrossFit and squatting all this weight, I started to get a pain in my foot. And there was like, I thought it was like a bruised bone, but there was like this protrusion of a bone like on the inside of my foot. I went to a specialist and he's like, yeah, your bone moved. And I'm like, what do you mean my bone moved? And I was just like, he was like, yeah, basically fucking, it was like, I'm just going to move down the block, man. Like, so it just moved outward. Right. And so he's like, I'm like, well, what do I do? Like, I want to be able to run. I haven't been able to run in forever and I love it. So he gave me these orthopedics. I'm all filled with doubt and all that. And they're $500 for a pair of these orthopedics. Right. Dude, I put these things in. I got my lower back is usually like really tight and stuff. I feel incredible. These things have saved my life. It's such an old man response, but I'm like, I ripped out all the inserts, all of my shoes, Vans, like just digging them out. I slip them in every little thing, throw them in, work out. I can squat, no pain now. I haven't tried running, and it's also because of that, like my left ankle, it just kind of flops, down when I walk. There's no pronation where you're supposed to like roll on the side of your foot. It just doesn't do that. So these orthopedics have like taken the pressure off of that, and that imbalance was causing lower back issues. So it just is like, yeah, man. Changed my life, 34 years old. And I should have went to the doctor for that years ago. But why do that? Why do that when you can wait till your bone moves? You know what I mean? Anyways, I don't know what the hell we're talking about. So yeah, I feel like I've been talking like a lot about the preferencing mind lately. And here's a suggestion. If you wake up and you have the intention to go through your day and you say this, I'm going to let the world be the world today. As you move through it, you start moving through it as this character kind of watching the world unfold as it's there. And so the more I give the world permission to be the world, I get to move through it in a fluid manner where I don't take everything so seriously and I get caught up in this narration of, oh my God, I'm in the world. This is happening. This isn't happening. I want this to be this way. It's not going to be this way. And there's going to be more peace when that happens, or at least I found that to be the case with me. Meditation sets me up to move through that with the day. It sets me up to like have that in the forefront of my consciousness and just have it right there as I move through the day. So the world is an opera. It's a drama of life. Allow myself to move through it rather than resist it and wish it was different, because the world is just going, life is too busy being life. And yeah, man, that preferencing mind, it gets me, and I think there's just something to be said by watching life unfold before you, because life's gonna, whether you stay in your apartment or your house and hide, life's happening anyways. So I can either let it happen before me and take the ride, or wish it wasn't happening and be pissed off on the ride the whole time. But either way, you're going to be a part of it. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Please, again, check out the YouTube channel. Just search From the Grave Podcast. Subscribe. Share the video if you like it. Tag a friend. Hit us up on Instagram. And again, appreciate all your love and support. Peace.